Hey everyone, Dan here. We are just after market close on Monday, June 14th. Today we're going to take a look at the SPAC, which 23andMe is going to merge with this week. The SPAC is VGAC. Before we get into it, if you enjoy these videos, please hit the like and subscribe button. It helps a lot. And feel free to comment below with your own thoughts, opinions, ideas that you'd like to share with others, discrepancies, dispersions. No, but feel free to comment below. I look at it every night, though it may take me a few days to get back to you because sometimes I get pretty far behind. All right, let's jump right into it. So VGAC is set to complete its merger with 23andMe. If we want to just pop over here, trading is expected to begin on NASDAQ on June 17th, 2021, and today is the 14th, so that just puts us to Thursday. The new ticker symbol will be ME. Because this comes up a lot during SPAC mergers, I will just kind of give you my 2 cents from having gone through a few of these. You shouldn't need to do anything if you're holding options or shares. They should just transition over. Your broker should handle that for you. There may be a brief period of time in the morning on the 17th when you're unable to trade, but that should be very, very brief, or may only be during the pre-market hours. I have had a couple of instances, most recently with IPOE transitioning to SoFi, when I had to actually write to my broker and say, why is my IPOE call not showing as a SoFi call? It's showing as just zero, no value, and no ticker symbol change. And basically they would just manually fix it and then write back to me and say, oh, it's fixed, sorry for the delay, blah, 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 blah. So you might have to do a little bit of work. It can be kind of annoying, but we play SPACs because we think that the payoff can be disproportionate, and so sometimes you have to do a little bit of extra work in order to realize that disproportionate gain. But just be aware that's what you should be on the lookout for. Whoa. Talk about huge green candles in the after hours here. Pretty interesting. So anyway, but let's get into sort of like the charts as they currently stand and talk about what we might look for in the days ahead. One thing, if you've watched any of my previous videos, I love channels. I think channels are one of the most predictable ways to play a stock. And if we see here, I almost said a different stock video that I put out today, but if you see here, VGAC, which I lovingly call this in my head, has been in this channel for several days now, and has done a good job of testing the upper bound of the channel several times, has tested the lower bound of the channel several times as well. Fell out here a bit, but as long as about 95% of the entire price action is captured in a channel, I consider it to be alive and well. And the way that I play these, just if you haven't come across my videos before, I look for dip buys toward the bottom of the channel. So I would look for the price to be pushing toward the bottom of the channel. Say you had done that here, and then you ride the price action up toward the top of the channel and take profit if you want. If you're doing shorter term trading. If you're doing longer term trading, then you could literally just, if you're looking for a dip buy opportunity, you could say, okay, I'm going to dip buy toward the bottom of the channel. A little bit more difficult on a short term channel to take a long term position, but it is something you could do. So I'm going to look for that channel to hold. So in addition to that channel, let's look at some supply and demand zones as they have existed for a little while. So we don't have a lot to go off of because this run-up has been so recent, but let's just plot out, and I'm going to start sort of from the bottom down here. So it should be really, really good support at that 1063 should it need it. As you know, there can be some wild swings that take place with these mergers, or as you may know, I guess I should say. These are the levels that I would look for as potential strong bounce zones, strong levels of support. The nice thing about this is it's currently essentially sitting on a big cushion of support, and then is sort of looking at making some new highs as it rolls up that channel. So for all intents and purposes, because we don't have a lot to go on the upside from previous price action, right? It's all down here. The best thing to go off of, in my opinion, would be this channel. Continue to follow the channel, following the channel up until the channel breaks. And the other thing to know about channels is all channels eventually break. So this could break tomorrow. This could break right now in the after hours as we're looking at it. That could absolutely happen. And no matter what, at some point it will break. But while it is alive and well and intact, it's a really, really good way to play and give yourself targets to the upside. And again, that could just literally mean as you're watching the stock price move up the channel, maybe you say, okay, the next time that it makes a break toward the top of the channel, I'm going to take my profit. That's going to be my price target to the upside. Additionally, if you are looking to get into this play or to average down, if it does take a dip, these could be good dip buy zones for you. If you see the price coming down and then hit this like 11.10 mark and kind of start moving sideways and start to show some price strength, that could give you a really good option in order to take a position there and ride the price strength up. The other thing that I would say, this isn't having to do with the chart, but we saw this with IPOE and SoFi as well. So SoFi got absorbed by the NASDAQ as well. And yes, while the amount of shares in the float will change when the merger actually takes place and the ticker symbol changes, what you'll often see at the beginning is the hype continuing very, very strong, at least in the days post-merger. But then also there's going to be a lot of buying pressure coming in on the new ticker symbol ME, because any of the funds that have the NASDAQ as a part of their fund and are obligated to purchase fractions or quantities of those shares in order to keep a respective amount of NASDAQ holdings in that portfolio piece, they're going to have to come in and buy up a bunch of shares of me. And so that should bring a lot of buying pressure in immediately. We saw the same thing with Tesla, just to give another example, when they were taken on by the S&P, because folks knew that any funds that leverage Standard & Poor's are going to have to buy up shares of Tesla in order to hold a dispersed amount of the 500 different stocks that are in the S&P as a part of their portfolio. They would be obligated to do that. So that should bring a bunch of buying pressure in. So I would look for that in the coming days. That's the channel and the piece of the NASDAQ piece that I was just trying to describe, for better or worse, are the two most compelling things to me. I do also think that 23andMe as a company is really, really interesting. So those are why it's a compelling case to me. And again, these are the price targets that I look for. That's the channel I would look to play. If we want to take a quick look at, let me zoom back out to the 5-day here to capture most of this big run up. Let's see where our MAs are standing. So you're getting some support right now as it's dipping on or below the 50 and trying to sort of regain some price strength above the 20. But for most of this run, obviously has held really well over the 50 for the most part. And that has been obviously the points at which it's been the strongest is when it's been holding above the 50 or it's crossing over the 50 or even the 20 is crossing over the 50. And the real estate is expanding between those two. So those MAs look pretty good at the moment. The RSI, just a tick over mid-range. So plenty of opportunity for it to continue to run up if it wants to. On the MACD basically bouncing off the baseline at the moment and showing a sharp turn upward. If it can continue, it might have a nice sharp bullish crossover over the signal line, but MACD as an indicator can get quite wonky in the after hours and in the pre-market, so it's much more trustworthy during the market hours. So just because it's doing that right now may not actually mean anything. So I would take that with an enormous grain of salt at the moment. But interesting one here. I'm going to look to play the channel. I'm going to look to potentially bounce, dip by some of these price zones if it does come down. Otherwise, I'm happy to ride the channel up and see what plays out in the coming days as the NASDAQ sort of integration of me sort of brings in a bunch of buying pressure to that stock and it'll be interesting to see how it plays out. These SPACs are always a wide range of many an ordeal can come from these SPACs, but there can be a lot of really wonderful upside as well, which I'm sure if you're playing this one, you very well might know. All right, well, thanks a bunch for watching. I really appreciate it. Good luck if you're in this one. Again, let me know some info below, because I certainly didn't get too deep into the weeds of a bunch of the particulars beyond just when the date is that the symbol is changing and what the chart currently looks like. So feel free to leave some nuggets of truth below. That'll definitely help not only myself, but others that watch the video as well. Thanks a bunch for watching. I appreciate it, and I will see you in the next video.